This morning, as I awaken to a new day, I am reminded that life is not happening to me. It is unfolding through me. The path I walk is not one imposed by the world, but one created by the state of my own consciousness. Lord, as I begin this day, I turn inward, knowing that the journey ahead is first shaped in the silent chambers of my mind. Every step I take is a reflection of my inner world. If my thoughts are aligned with love, wisdom, and faith, my path will be straight, illuminated by divine ardor. But if I allow fear, doubt, or confusion to guide me, I will wander, lost in the illusions of this world. Yet I am not powerless. I hold within me the creative force that shapes my destiny. Lord, help me see clearly. Help me assume the feeling of already being on the right path. Help me walk today in the certainty that I am guided, that I am protected, and that all things are working together for my good. For I know that the way is not shown to me from the outside. I must first embody it within. The right path is not something I must search for, it is something I must become. And so, as I begin this day, I step forward, not in hesitation, but in faith. Not in worry, but in knowing. Everything that unfolds in my life first begins in the unseen realm of my mind. The world I wake up to each morning is not separate from my thoughts, but a mirror reflecting the assumptions I have entertained, the beliefs I have held, and the emotions I have nurtured. Before my feet ever touch the ground, before I take my first conscious breath of the morning, the reality of my day has already been determined, not by the outer world, but by the inner world I have constructed. To walk the right path today, I must first imagine myself walking it. I must see with the eyes of my mind that I am already where I desire to be. The mind does not distinguish between what is seen and what is imagined. It simply accepts what I persistently assume to be true and moves to bring it into form. If I see myself as lost, struggling, or uncertain, then I will live out that experience, even if no real obstacle stands before me. But if I see myself as guided, as aligned with divine wisdom, as already standing firm in truth, then my steps will follow suit. Every great change in my life has first begun with a shift in my imagination. Every breakthrough, every answered prayer, every moment of clarity, none of these things happened by chance. They were born in the unseen, planted as thoughts, watered by belief, and brought into being through the law of consciousness. My circumstances today are simply the harvest of my previous imaginings. If I wish to change the path before me, I do not fight with the outer world. I return to the inner, where all change begins. The world tells me to rely on effort, to struggle against what is seen, to react to what appears before me. But I know that the real power does not lie in reaction. It lies in creation. And creation does not happen outside of me, it happens within. If I wish to walk a path of peace, I must first imagine myself as peaceful. If I wish to walk a path of wisdom, I must see myself as wise. If I desire to be strong, I must first feel strength rising within me before I ever take a single step. It is not enough to wish for a better path. Wishing is passive. It keeps my desires in the future, always just beyond my reach. But imagination is active. It calls me to embody, to assume, to claim as mine that which I seek. If I desire guidance, I do not ask if it will come. I see myself already guided. If I long for certainty, I do not plead for it. I walk as one who already knows. In this way, I do not merely hope for the right path to appear before me. I become the one who is already walking it. What I imagine today will shape what I experience tomorrow. My mind is not a place of idle thoughts. It is the womb of creation, the workshop where reality is formed. If I wish to walk the right path, I must not wait for the world to show it to me. I must first walk it in my imagination, knowing that what I persist in feeling, believing, and assuming will, without fail, become my lived reality. There is a world beyond what my eyes can see, beyond what my hands can touch, beyond what my senses can confirm. It is the world of the unseen, the world from which all things emerge. And though the mind conditioned by the external world may doubt it, though reason may resist it, I know that this unseen world is more real than anything that appears before me. The great mistake is believing that what is visible is all there is. But everything I see today was once invisible. The home I live in, the roads I walk, the words I speak, each of these things existed first as unseen thought, before they became manifest in form. My life itself is a product of the invisible made visible, of the formless given shape. Yet the world tells me to place my trust in what can be measured, in what can be proven, in what the eyes can confirm. It tells me to rely only on the seen, as though the unseen is uncertain, as though it is weak, as though it is not the very foundation of existence. But I know better. I know that the unseen is the source, the cause, the origin. To doubt the unseen is to doubt the very process that brought me here. Faith is the certainty that what is not yet visible is already real. It is the deep inner knowing that my desires, my prayers, my visions are already fulfilled in the realm where all things begin. If I hold on to this faith, if I trust in the unseen, then I need not concern myself with how my path will unfold. I need not grasp, struggle, or seek outward confirmation. Instead, I remain steadfast in my conviction, knowing that what I accept as true within will, in due time, be reflected without. There are moments when I may feel uncertain, when the world contradicts my inner knowing, when circumstances appear to oppose my vision, when delay tempts me to doubt. But faith does not waver in the face of appearances. Faith stands firm, unmoved by temporary conditions, unshaken by the illusions of time. The seed does not doubt that it will grow simply because the soil appears unchanged. It knows that deep beneath the surface the process is already unfolding. And so it is with me. Even when nothing seems to change, even when my senses offer no evidence, I hold fast to my faith, knowing that the unseen is always at work. Faith does not require explanation. It does not demand proof. It does not wait for signs before believing. Faith moves first, believes first, accepts first. It is the quiet confidence that the way is already made, even if my feet have not yet touched it. It is the unshakable trust that though I may not see the whole path, each step will be revealed as I walk. If I were to rely only on what I can see, I would be limited to what already is. I would be bound by the present, trapped within what has already been created. But faith is the key that unlocks new realities. It allows me to step beyond the known, beyond the past, beyond the limitations of logic, and into the infinite possibilities of creation. It is not passive belief. It is active participation in the unfolding of the unseen into the seen. I do not need to beg for what is already mine. I do not need to question whether my desires will manifest. Faith does not entertain doubt, does not ask when or how. It simply knows. It knows that the unseen is more real than the seen. It knows that what I hold in consciousness must come to pass. It knows that the only requirement is belief, absolute, unwavering, immovable belief. The past is not fixed, though the world teaches that time moves in one direction, that what has happened is set in stone. I know that the past is as fluid as the present. Every memory I hold is alive within me, and because it is alive, it can be changed. The mistakes I have made, the wrongs I have suffered, the regrets that whisper in the quiet moments of my mind, all of these are not permanent scars, but malleable impressions, waiting to be revised. Revision is the divine gift of transformation. It allows me to take what once seemed unchangeable and reshape it according to the truth I now hold. The events of my life, no matter how painful, exist not to imprison me, but to be redeemed. If I relive my past mistakes in my mind, if I replay my wounds and failures, I keep them alive and give them power over my present. But if I revise them, if I replace them with a new and better reality, I free myself from their grip. Forgiveness and revision are one. To forgive is not merely to release another from blame. It is to release myself from the weight of an old reality. It is to refuse to be bound by what was and instead claim what is possible. When I revise a moment in my mind, I do not deny that it happened. I redefine its meaning. I see the person who hurt me as no longer my enemy, but as a lesson, a mirror, a part of my journey that served its purpose. I see my own past failures not as shameful, but as stepping stones leading me to greater wisdom. Nothing is beyond redemption. If I regret words I have spoken, I can return to that moment in my imagination and see myself speaking with love and kindness instead. If I have suffered betrayal, I can revise the scene, feeling only peace and understanding. If I have faced rejection, I can replace the memory with one of acceptance. Though the outer world may seem unchanged, my inner world will transform, and as my inner world shifts, so too will the life I experience. There is no power in dwelling on what has gone wrong. The mind that constantly revisits pain, resentment, and regret only ensures that those patterns repeat themselves. But the mind that chooses to revise, to see a better past, will inevitably walk into a better future. The past is not behind me, it is within me. It is alive in my consciousness, and because it is alive, I can breathe new life into it. Forgiveness is not for the other person, it is for me. It is the act of setting myself free. To hold on to anger, to cling to resentment, is to remain chained to the very thing I wish to escape. But the moment I release it, the moment I revise it, I step into a new reality where that pain no longer exists. I am no longer a victim of the past. I am the creator of my own history. Every day I have the choice to relive old wounds or to rewrite them. I have the choice to keep my past as it is or to shape it into something that empowers me. If I do not like the story I have lived, I do not have to accept it. I can return to any moment, see it anew, and replace it with what should have been. And as I do, I change not just my past, but my present, my future, my entire being. No event, no mistake, no hurt is beyond revision. The world may tell me that what is done, that I must live with my regrets, that the past is immovable. But I know the truth. The past is clay in my hands, waiting to be molded. It is not the final word. It is not my burden to carry. It is my creation to rewrite. Before anything appears in my world, it must first be assumed in my mind. Life does not respond to what I wish for, what I beg for, or what I think might happen. It responds to what I assume to be true. The experiences I call reality are nothing more than the external confirmation of my inner convictions. If I assume lack, I will see lack. If I assume failure, I will meet failure. But if I assume abundance, if I assume success, if I assume that all things are working in my favor, then life has no choice but to reflect that assumption back to me. The mind conditioned by the world believes that circumstances create belief, that I must first see before I can know something is real. But this is an illusion. Nothing in my life appears before I assume it to be so. Even when I claim that something just happened, it is only the natural outpicturing of a state I once accepted within myself. I may not have been aware of the assumption I carried, but it was there, shaping my reality, directing my steps, calling forth the conditions that now surround me. If I wish to change my experience, I must first change my assumption. I must decide here and now what is true for me, regardless of what my senses report. If I wait for evidence before believing, I will remain trapped in a cycle of the past, forever experiencing only what has already been assumed. But if I boldly assume the reality I desire, if I persist in that assumption, even in the face of contradictory evidence, then life itself will rearrange to accommodate the state I have claimed as my own. There is no power in hoping. Hope is uncertainty dressed as faith. Hope looks to the future, always waiting, always expecting something to come, but never claiming it as already here. Assumption, however, is knowing. It does not look forward, it looks within. It declares that what is unseen is already real, that what is desired is already mine. It does not ask, will this happen? It states, it is done. Everything I have ever received, I first assumed to be possible. Every opportunity, every relationship, every moment of joy, all of it came because, at some level, I accepted it as real before it materialized. And so, if I wish to walk the right path today, I do not wait for a sign. I do not seek confirmation. I assume that I am already on the right path, that I am already guided, that wisdom is already within me, and my steps will naturally align with that state. The world calls this foolishness. It teaches that I must wait for proof, that I must respond to circumstances rather than create them. But those who understand the law of assumption know better. They know that experience follows assumption, not the other way around. The one who assumes success, even in the face of failure, will rise. The one who assumes love, even after heartbreak, will attract it. The one who assumes peace, even in the midst of chaos, will find it. There is no need to struggle against the world, no need to fight circumstances or force change through effort. The only work required is within. The moment I assume my wish is already fulfilled, the process begins. The unseen forces of creation move to bring my assumption into form. And though I may not know the exact way it will unfold, I can rest in the certainty that it will. Every assumption I hold is a seed planted in the soil of my consciousness. Some seeds sprout quickly, others take time, but all will bear fruit according to their kind. If I assume lack, I will harvest lack. If I assume struggle, I will harvest struggle. But if I assume joy, if I assume ease, if I assume that I am already the person I wish to be, then the world must bend to reflect that truth. I do not need permission from the world to assume greatness. I do not need circumstances to change before I believe that I am already where I desire to be. I only need the courage to assume, to persist in that assumption, and to walk in the quiet confidence that all things are being shaped according to my inner world. The words I speak to myself in silence are more powerful than the words I speak aloud. Long before I take action, long before the world responds to me, my inner conversations are already shaping my reality. Whether I realize it or not, I am always engaged in an inner dialogue, and this dialogue determines the course of my life. Every moment of the day, I am talking to myself. I am explaining, justifying, doubting, encouraging, fearing, or believing. These silent words may never be heard by another, but they are heard by the deeper part of me, the creative power that molds my reality. If my inner speech is filled with worry, if I constantly rehearse failure, rejection, or struggle, I will see those very things reflected in my life. But if I speak within myself as one who is blessed, confident, and divinely guided, then my world will align with that state. It is not enough to hope for a better life while engaging in inner conversations of doubt. It is not enough to pray for success while silently telling myself that I am unworthy. The outer world is not responding to my wishes. It is responding to my inner speech. If I speak to myself as one who is lost, I will remain lost. If I speak to myself as one who is weak, my strength will fail me. But if I assume the inner tone of someone who already possesses what they seek, then my reality will follow. I do not need to announce my beliefs to the world. I do not need to convince others. The only voice that truly matters is the one within me. And so I must ask myself, what am I saying in silence? Am I encouraging myself, or am I tearing myself down? Am I affirming my ability to succeed, or am I rehearsing my fears? The words I whisper to myself in private will become the circumstances I face in public. If I truly desire to walk the right path, I must begin by mastering my inner speech. I must become aware of the words I repeat in my mind when no one is listening. The moment I catch myself complaining, doubting, or assuming defeat, I must stop and change the script. I must replace the old, destructive dialogue with words of faith, of confidence, of certainty. I must speak to myself as one who already possesses wisdom, one who already moves with purpose, one who already walks in alignment with divine order. The world may seem unpredictable, but my inner speech is the script from which my life is played. If I persist in negative conversations, I will live in a world of obstacles. But if I persist in uplifting, empowering, and confident inner speech, I will live in a world that reflects those truths. My circumstances are not independent of my thoughts. They are born from them. My relationships, my opportunities, my successes and failures, all are shaped by the quiet words I tell myself daily. There is no need to force external change. If I alter my inner conversations, my outer life will shift effortlessly. The person who silently affirms their worth will naturally walk with confidence. The person who continuously imagines themselves as successful will find success drawn to them. The person who speaks to themselves as one who is loved and respected will see that love reflected in their interactions. It is not enough to declare positive words once and forget them. True transformation comes through persistence, through the continuous repetition of a new and empowering inner dialogue. Every day, every hour, every moment, I have the choice to either reaffirm my limitations or to speak myself into a new reality. And so, I must discipline my inner speech, knowing that the words I repeat in silence will one day become the life I live. There is no need to look outside myself for God, no need to seek divine power in some distant place, no need to believe that the source of all wisdom, love, and creation is separate from me. The world has taught me to search outward, to believe that guidance, strength, and miracles must come from somewhere beyond. But I know the truth. God is within me. The power I have sought, the wisdom I have longed for, the love I have yearned to feel, it has been here all along, waiting for my recognition. From the moment I take my first breath in the morning to the moment I rest my head at night, God moves through me. The very life that flows in my veins, the thoughts that arise in my mind, the desires that stir my heart, all are evidence of the divine presence dwelling within me. There is no separation between me and the infinite. The very breath I breathe is the breath of God. The very mind I use to think is an extension of divine intelligence. And the love I feel is the love of the Creator expressing itself through me. If I wish to know God, I do not need to look to the sky. I need only to look within. When I close my eyes and silence the noise of the world, I feel that presence, steady and unshaken. It is not loud, nor does it force itself upon me. It does not beg for my attention, nor does it command my obedience. It simply is eternal, constant, and ever available to me. The only reason I have ever felt distant from God is because I have been looking in the wrong place. The world teaches that God is something external, something to be pleaded with, something to be convinced through prayer and sacrifice. But I know that God does not dwell in temples made by human hands. God dwells in the temple of my being. I do not need to seek approval, for I am already one with the divine. I do not need to earn my place, for I have never been separate. I do not need to wait for divine intervention, for the power to create, to heal, and to transform is already mine. When I fully accept that God is within me, fear loses its grip. If the infinite is within me, what can I possibly lack? If divine wisdom is already mine, how can I ever be lost? If divine love is the very essence of my being, how can I ever feel unworthy? The limitations I once believed in, the struggles I once thought defined me, begin to dissolve, for I realize that I have never been alone, never been powerless, never been without the ability to shape my reality. I no longer need to ask if my prayers will be answered, because I know that I am not separate from the source. I am one with it. My desires are not random, they are the voice of God whispering within me, guiding me toward my highest good. When I trust this truth, I no longer wait for miracles. I expect them. I no longer hope for divine intervention. I know that I am the vessel through which the divine expresses itself. If I face uncertainty, I do not turn to the world for answers. I turn within. If I seek peace, I do not beg for it from outside forces. I find it in the stillness of my own soul. If I desire change, I do not wait for circumstances to shift. I awaken to the power that has always been mine. The great illusion of life is the belief in separation, the idea that I must struggle to reach God, that I must prove my worthiness, that I must suffer before receiving divine grace. These are falsehoods born of misunderstanding. There has never been a moment when God was not within me, never a moment when I was not already connected to the very source of all creation. The journey is not one of seeking, but of remembering, not one of striving, but of realizing. The moment I accept this truth, my life begins to change. I no longer wait for external signs to confirm my path, because I know that the guidance I need is already within me. I no longer doubt my ability to manifest my desires, because I understand that my imagination, my faith, and my belief are the tools through which God works. I no longer fear the unknown, because I know that the divine within me is always guiding, always providing, always unfolding my highest good. I am not a weak, limited being searching for strength. I am not a lost soul hoping to be found. I am not a creation separate from its creator. I am the embodiment of divine power, the living expression of God. And the moment I claim this truth, I step into the fullness of all that I am. As I walk forward on this path, I no longer look outside myself for guidance, for I now know that everything I seek is already within me. My faith in the unseen assures me that my desires are not distant possibilities, but present realities waiting to unfold. I no longer allow past mistakes to define me, for through revision and forgiveness, I have rewritten my story into one of growth and strength. I no longer react to life's circumstances as if they are beyond my control, for I understand that my assumptions shape my experiences, and my inner speech determines the life I live. With every step I take, I do so with the awareness that God is not separate from me. God is within me. I am not a beggar of divine favor, but a creator, shaping my world through my thoughts, my beliefs, and my unwavering faith in the power that resides in me. I walk in confidence, knowing that as I assume the best will unfold. I move forward in peace, trusting that every challenge is an opportunity for transformation. I embrace my journey with the certainty that I am divinely guided, divinely empowered, and divinely supported in all that I do. And so as I begin this day, I walk with purpose. I walk with faith. I walk with the unshakable knowing that I am the master of my destiny, the creator of my experience, and the vessel through which divine power flows.